Hello, YouTube, and welcome to the fourth ArtaCast. It is the fourth ArtaCast is online. We have a lot of things to discuss. We had it was the release weekend of Set 6, so that's very exciting. I played my first Set 6 tournament today. By recording, it was today. With good success, and we are all brewing with new cards, and that's a lot of fun. We have a lot of discuss about new decks, new archetypes. We also want to do maybe a little bit of a tier list today. Not exactly a tier list, but we have a conversation about decks and what tier they could become in the future. And the tournament I had today was very successful. I went crazy. It was 6 rounds. I went 6-0 and won the tournament completely then. And I lost not a single game. It was crazy. I went 18-0 in games. I don't understand how I could do that, but somehow I did it. And how was your week, LD?
Really good. So testing has continued for me for Set 6. Lots of refinements for green purple. I'm pretty locked in on the deck. Aside from a few, every now and again, because I think the purple shell now, there's maybe like 40, possibly a core of like 40 or even more purple cards that look really, really strong. And they are very, very strong. And then the rest is where the deck decision comes in, right? You can play purple steel, or you can play blurple even, put a bit of ramp in, or you can play green purple. So I'm locked into green purple with the small caveat that I keep looking at these things the other decks have, like Calhoun or Sail the Azurite Sea, and thinking, maybe I go across to a different deck. But then I always come back to green purple. So I'm feeling pretty locked in. No tournaments yet, but yes, it's been feeling good, and a few changes to talk about today as well. But I'm sure we'll get into that when we have a look at your list from the tournament today.
Yeah, so this is my list. I just thought, I don't know if you have any questions. I think we are both kind of on the same boat a bit. How we played. We really like the aggressive shell from the new set. And I think aggressive is the way to go right now to compete in the meta, to do unfair things sometimes. And if not, then we have a solid mid to late game still.
I think there's lots of cards here. Do you mind if I just ask you a series of questions about specific cards? Because I want to talk about these cards. I think the first one, to me, that stands out, this is a card I've not played with at all, and you've mentioned it to me a couple of times, is Gazelle. So talk to me a little bit about the role that Gazelle is playing here and how you feel about that card, because you need to sell me on it at the very least, let alone everybody else. So, what's Gazelle doing here?
Yeah, the general idea was a bit, because if you see the list, it's a bit of a German, you say Haufen, because it's a lot of cards and some one-offs, and I know many people don't like one-offs, but I think they are totally reasonable. I just want to be more versatile and make my opponent respect more things by just playing some one-offs. And Gazelle is the perfect one-off for me. Although she overperformed for me really today. I want to play maybe 2 of her. She's so versatile. Of course,
what sort of things are you doing with her?
I traded some genies today with foxes. I traded some Elsas today with foxes or other cards. Nice. I was on 15. Quested with Banzai, gave him evasive till next turn.
Yeah.
she's not perfect in every situation. That's of course clear. I mean, she's inkable. You don't make a great risk if you play her, and I wouldn't play her more as 2 off, because she's not your proactive 2 cost character that you want to play on turn 2 or something. She's more of a maybe turn 4 or 5 or something to trade or to protect your characters. But I played against a lot of genies today, and there she really helped, and a lot of genies. Genies all over the. And if you trade your fox to a genie, that's. I don't want to say it's game then, but it's a
feels pretty good. I imagine
it's a power, and she still can then quest for one. It's in a racing situation. It's still meaningful that she's still on the board. It's not a spell that gives you character evasive for the turn. She's still a character on the board that can quest next turn.
Yeah, I even potential to bounce it if you need to do it again.
I even bounced her once. Yeah. The other thing, when you see my list, is that I have no snakes anymore. That's maybe a bit controversial. But the lines for me where I play snake on 2 are almost non-existent in the current meta. Maybe Steel Song if you have no Ursula, then she's reasonable. But often the draw you play no 1-drop, and even then it's very rare that you play snake on turn 2. On the play, if you have no Ursula, that's fair. Then snake is a good turn 2 play. She's sometimes okay with Merfolk. But yeah, I had to cut something, and against so many matchups, I played against Blue Steel much today and Red Blue, and she's absolutely not useful there. It's too slow. You always
feels like we've been on the edge of cutting snake for a long time, right? And it's a conversation that's been had a lot of times, because, like you say, the amount of situations where that card feels like it's really performing. A turn 2 3/3 is not as strong as it used to be. Those situations are just going away. Like, there's far fewer of them. I think the one you describe against Amber Steel is probably the only one I want them in, when I want a 2-drop that's definitely going to stick through a storm. Hard to think of others. I mean, you get to do things like bounce Ursula and replay it on turn 4 or something.
Yeah.
But then, I don't know, there's other things you could do that are potentially more impactful than that. So it's a tough call, because the card's versatile, but it does have to happen at some point, doesn't it? We can't just keep this in forever if it's getting worse and worse.
Yeah, and if you see the list, you would need to cut something for the snakes. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you could cut Gazelle again. It wouldn't change too much or something. I would ink snake very often, and I inked Gazelle also sometimes. So it's just not very much. It matters not much, I think.
Nice.
Go overperformed for me today. This was so stupid. I was one game. I mean, it was maybe it was, if you think through it, it was a misplay from my opponent, but he was no, it was no misplay. He had this was crazy. He had a Maui Shark on board and a Tamator. He quested with Tamator to 18. Found get back Popsicle. Popsicle. Found one Hafago. So Maui Shark 19.
Yep.
Found no other spell with the Maui Shark. And then he thought, okay, I don't care, your turn. Because I was on 12 and he thought he had won. And I had a goat and 8 ink. And I run with goat and he was Tamator. And double go-goes to win. That was crazy. That's one of the craziest games I had for a long time. Because if you are Red Blue and you see them, are at 12, then you think, yeah, okay, you would have to bounce your goat 6 times or something to kill me. And the Go-Go, yeah. I think the value of Go-Go will go down a bit as the as the format goes on, because
Yeah.
I caught some people off guard today with him.
Yeah, sure. It's a good punisher, isn't it? It's one of those things that, gets harder to get value out of as time goes on and people learn. But I was going to ask you, last week we talked about the right number of Go-Go's, and we kind of said, you don't have to play the full 4 to make your opponent play around it. Is it just that good that you wouldn't play less than 4?
I'm still thinking play only 3 could be right, because she's often not useful. That's when you are an opponent, you always think this card is busted, but if you're on turn 2, you think, okay, I don't know. I play her now because I have nothing else. And we want to play Banzai or Ursula on turn 2, and you shouldn't see Go-Go as a 2-drop, probably. Yeah, a bit, maybe, but... and then in the late game, the problem is if you only play 3, you have to be more careful about inking her.
Sure.
That's the problem. And 4 is probably still the right amount. But yeah.
Yeah.
Hard to say.
In the games I've played, I've landed on 4, and I occasionally look at it and think, there's maybe a spot to shave there, but I like you say, I like being able to not think too hard about it. Sort of the way we used to feel about our goats, and still do to some case, where you look at a goat and you're like, I'd love to be able to ink this right now, but I know that this matchup is going to be super grindy. It always goes down to me needing to bounce goats, and then you, I don't know, make a poor ink choice or whatever. I don't want to be doing too much of that. It's nice that you can just kind of do whatever with her until you absolutely need her. And playing 4 is kind of important to that. So that's kind of where I've landed as well.
Can't be too wrong if you play 4.
No. No. 4 copies of Kit. Still very high on Kit in this format. Good for you today?
Yeah. Kit was not very good today because all of my matchups was not his matchups.
Okay,
I bounced some daisies against Steel Song, but I played in my Swiss round. I played 2 Steel Song, 1 blue steel, 1 blue red, 1 Jafar purple steel, and 1 red purple. And against red purple, my red purple opponent has had 2 times Flynn Zizo opening, and I had to kit the Flynn. To even stand a chance. So Kit is very on the draw against red purple. You need to have Kit.
Nice.
Except in the second game, I was able to Merfolk Banzai, and then I played 3 1-drops on turn 3 to get their Zizo to only 3 strength, and then
nice.
But
that's my card. 3 1-drops.
Yeah. And all replaced themselves, So, and against that it was, but the matchups, I didn't play against Green Steel today. Against, I had a mirror match, and their kit is so insane in mirror match. Whoa.
Yeah.
I even kit sometimes a genie because it's so tempo advantage in the mirror match to bounce something like a rabbit or a genie. Because generally you might think, I give him drawback and so, but they can't catch up with tempo then often because just go wide. They have no board wipe and
this is specifically something that I wanted to talk to you about today, which is that it feels like we've spent about almost a year being afraid of kitting rabbits because that's tough. They'd get the extra card right away plus their rabbit back, and often those matchups are so grindy and a little slower. You don't really want to kit a rabbit, but in my experience, you absolutely do want to kit a genie. That is worth. They don't get just putting that uninkable 4-drop back in their hand. They don't get an extra card on the way back. When you're playing a tempo deck like this, you would let your opponent pay 4 to draw a card as many times as they want. That's a great deal for you. It sounds like they're not, you could do that every turn if you want.
Yeah, that you wouldn't do that.
Me at all.
Yeah.
No. So yeah,
Especially
I
with
think
Clarabelle, it's also very good. I would like to
yeah,
play more
sure.
Clarabelles because then I sometimes just don't care if I kid their rabbit back and they play it again and draw even more cards, and then it just they committed all their resources to draw cards, and I just steal the cards with Clarabelle. That's
Yeah,
very powerful. Yeah.
nice. Yeah, I was going to ask about Clarabelle. Clarabelle obviously being one of the cards that a lot of people have cut to make room for new tools and toys from set 6. Looks here like you've kind of identified it's still pretty important for some matchups. Um, how are we feeling about the big Clarabelle?
Yeah, I would like to play more even. She's just great. She's just great, although she's often ink. She's great, and that's something.
Mm,
Because red purple, I played a lot against red purple, and I really think the matchup is not that good that people think, because people are biased in my opinion that the matchup, since in set 3 it was auto win, not auto
hmm
win, but it was very good, and then we got biased and think, green purple is good against red purple, but then Flint Sisu got printed, and it's often the case that we can't really race when they have a Sisu because we can't give them favorable trades. And when they reach
Yep.
endgame, they can really easy outvalue us because all of their cards are just 2-for-1s and just more value efficient, or how you can say that.
Mm.
And I struggled a lot against that game plan. Just because, I mean, sometimes you have triple Merfolk start or sometimes or something, then you win, but you don't
Yeah.
always have that. And then you don't always have that, and then it gets really tricky to get some lore through because you can't quest with a Banzai into a Sisu. It's not, you can't do that. And then sometimes you fox your Banzai then, but you don't have always the fox. And for me personally, it was hard to get much lore against
Sure.
them.
Yeah.
And they have answers to anything. They have Medusa for Genie and Elsa's for Genie, and so they have nearly answers to anything for us of us. And then they even do sometimes like Elsa on Banzai, what really hurts. And it's, I don't say it's a bad matchup. That's not what I want to say. I want just to say that it's not that good that people might think it was in set 3.
Sure. Yeah.
And
Yeah,
then
I'm certainly guilty of that. I do that a lot. I think
uh,
I feel like I had such a hot run of beating red purple without much worry that then I've just in my head it's filed as this is free.
I don't know if you're on the draw and they open Flynn, Sisu, Genie. I mean, that's very high rolly, I know. I
Yeah.
mean, it's okay. But I can't think of a line where we come out with a very advantageous position out of that.
Mm.
I don't know. What can we do? We can kit the Flynn. That's very bad. They ink it and then they play the next character. That's very bad for us because we have committed a 2/2 on the board that does nothing to bounce back ink for them. And good players won't quest with their Sisu. That's the problem that many red purple players make, I think, that they just quest with their
Mm.
Sisu. They shouldn't quest because they should just stall the game till they can take over. And some people are greedy and get their 2 lore with their Sisu, and then you grab your, I don't know, your Ursula and trade it. That I think that's not very good if they play it, and the most people just quest with their Sisu, and that's not good. And because what do what are they afraid of? In the end game, they are better
Yeah.
than us. Let's be honest. Medusa is a really scary card then, and it's not a scary card if we are on 12 lore, but if we are on 5 lore, then their cards are scary.
Yeah, right.
And Clarabelle wins games alone against red purple for me.
Yeah, sure.
It's just amazing. They have no removal except B prep. If you play carefully, so you don't play as the only character for Tremaine. So either they B prep or you stick her or you let her stick. And then they can't play card draw because they want you every turn you dump your hand and draw to their hand size, and then they're so broken. I came out of games where I nearly just lost, and so I think she's still reasonable. Also,
Yep.
the small clarable is just a threat that gets removed by brawls and things. It's crazy how they
Yep.
commit to deal with her. And it's mainly for me for red purple, the big one. But
Nice.
also some against some other matchups. And the small clarable is just decent, I think. I killed some items today with it. I killed a Comic-Con in the mirror match. That was very
Ooh, that's good.
Comic-Con. That was important, yeah. Otherwise I would have lost. So I think she's still, but it's hard to find out the right amount of one drops. Or not the right amount, the right amount also, but which one drops, because I cut all the cantrips recently, and then it felt like a bit too less card draw.
Yeah, sure.
Hard to say.
Yeah, nice. The last card I wanted to talk about specifically was White Rose. You've got a lot of 3-drops here. The list's pretty heavy on that 3 slot, as we know green purple tends to be, because we have tons of good 3-drops to potentially look at. And you're maxed out on kits and crabs, which they flex in number sometimes, but you've still found room for 3 rows. How's the card? How's it performing for you? I've had mixed feelings. I always want to play them, but then they get cut early, because I think maybe they don't do enough for the slot. So interested to know how you feel.
It's that's reasonable. The thing is, against some matchups, she's the best turn 3 play.
Yes.
By far, I would say. Against red blue or blue steel, if you don't play 3 1-drops or something, she's the best 3-drop that you could have in your deck. And that makes her not bad. Also against Steel Song, a 3/3 was always very good. But then you have the crabs too, so yeah. It's hard to say. I would like to test the prince as well, or the Prince Philip as well, because I think he could also have some serious legs. The 3/2 ward. Yeah.
Yep.
Can't be sniped by Ursula's songs or something, and can then reliably trade something. Maybe even play then more Gazelles, and to have a really, really reliable answer to Diablo then, because you can give your Prince Philip evasive to trade Diablo before they can, and they cannot remove him. But that's something I want to test. But I would be afraid to cut all the roses, because there's often the exact card you need. If you're 19, then, that's
the number I keep landing on is 2. I keep a lot of my builds. I keep landing on 2 of the roses.
That's reasonable.
It's sort of like when you're sitting in those games and you're getting up 15 plus lore, and then you draw a crab and you look at it and you think, why am I not playing more roses? Like that, you're always going to do that. But in a lot of other positions, those other 3-drops achieve a fair bit more. But yeah, you're quite right. Like, we do need these 3-drops are all really good. But all of them, apart from Rose, are sort of reactive.
Situational.
Exactly. They're situational, and they excel in those situations. But if we're on the play, there's no 2-drop or 1-drop that we're particularly worried about, that we want to either clean up with a good trade or kit. We need something that just advances our position.
She's good in really any matchup, I would say. There's no matchup where I think, auto ink. It's like some other cards. I mean, Kit or something against red blue, most of the time, if they're not exactly on Cheater, it's always ink. And there are some cards here in this, but Rose is always a consideration to not ink, and that's yeah, that's something to have in mind. What
Yeah,
makes her an appealing card? Yeah.
yeah, nice. Um, Before we talk about your matchups from today a little bit, I guess things that are missing from the list that some people might be playing or want to know more about. No copies of Friends on the Other Side and no locations. You feel okay without both of those?
I want to have 100% hit rate by Daisy. That's the
Nice.
no. I think it could be totally reasonable to play castles. I thought about it a
Yep.
lot. It could help against green steel as well, maybe. So I will test castles again. Because I think could be. We are so fast, and sometimes I thought if I now would slam a castle, it would be so over.
Yeah.
That's crazy, but yeah, hard to say. Probably regarding thinking about my run today, there's no need to change too much, probably because yeah, it just went really good. What I think was a bit risky, and I see the critics about that, is I play 69 inkables and I play 7 4-drop uninkables. I decided to go in last minute. I cut one big clarable and play the third rabbit.
Okay.
Because yeah, big clarable is by far less reliable as rabbit, obviously, because we often do not ram ink to 7, or at least very late. And you could say you can have clunky hands, yeah, but I never kept a rabbit and a genie today in my
Sure.
opening, and it worked out really well, obviously. So
Yeah.
I always drew into one. The only matchup I keep Genie is Blue Steel, because Genie is so broken in this matchup that I keep it against Blue
Mm-hmm.
Steel. But any other matchup, I didn't keep a Genie or Rabbit. That's something to note, I think, because yeah,
Yeah.
I think if you play that amount, you could be able to do that. Yeah.
Yeah. And
And if you
there are
play
some
less, yeah,
matchups. No, yeah, go ahead, sorry.
yeah, if you play less, then you maybe have to keep one, and that's
Yeah,
could
yeah.
be a weird situation, because then you draw another one, and maybe it's even more consistent to have less clunky hands, because you are able to not keep it. Could be also a consideration. What that was my thought.
Yeah.
Maybe we play exactly that amount that we don't have to keep them, because
Yeah.
can be very clunky. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really interesting because there are some matchups like that. What you've just said there is a real piece of, I guess, valuable advice specifically for this set now. And it's a big change because there were some matchups in the past where if we didn't find a singular rabbit, we felt like they were lost. A lot of these grindy matchups were
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
dependent on, okay, you have a fast start and then you just get to rabbit bouncing and you quest and do that, and that's how you transition into the mid game and what you keep doing into the late game. But when that rabbit isn't there, it's really hard to win the matchup because they'll just run you out of
Yeah.
resources. So when you saw one, you kept it. Almost always blind. I would keep one in most
Mm-hmm.
matchups in previous formats. You never wanted them in multiples really a lot of the time, but if I didn't know what the opponent was doing, I would keep a rabbit in my
Mm-hmm.
opening hand. With these 7 uninkable 4-drops, send them back. It makes a lot of sense. Especially when you're playing 6 1-drops that redraw a card.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and yeah, and then if you play the first genie and you draw with him the another genie, that's not bad, because then you can.
No.
I often chained today these 4-drop uninkables. I chained them.
Yeah.
Genie rabbits. Then yeah, it's deal with it. So the
Nice.
uninkables. I think in a deck like this you can play more uninkables, because we are way less reactive than in the past. I think
Yep.
in set 5 we were a very, very reactive deck. We needed really declarable to destroy items, and we needed Ursula, but now we are way more proactive, which I like. And
Mm-hmm.
then we can afford to play more inkables, because we don't have often this situation where we ink the one card to play the other, and we always play Banzai nearly on turn 2. Because it's the best turn 2. I mean, against Steelzone you play Ursula, but in every else, and so I think we can in this set afford to play more uninkables, especially when they all replace themselves like Genie and Rabbit. It's not if that you play for B prep or something that can brick your whole game.
Sure, yeah.
You can't brick with this deck. That's nearly not possible to brick. And even I had 2 situations today where I didn't ink on turn 4 because I just played another Banzai and I thought, okay, next turn I play my Genie, and then you could say it was bricked, but it actually wasn't, because it made so much pressure. If you have 3 Banzais on your board, or 2 Banzais and a Merfolk, that it's actually not bricking. It feels like it, but it isn't, because if you're with that amount of ink ahead on tempo, then you're not bricking. So yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, really interesting. That's sort of, I don't know, that's a really big takeaway for me, and something that I'll definitely find very useful, because the situations where I feel like I have bricked this set have been where I've kept a Genie in my opener because I think, awesome, Genie, send 3 cards back, and then you get like 2 Genies and a Rabbit back in it, and you're
Yeah,
cool.
and then you feel bad, yeah.
Yeah,
Especially
I'm not
against Red
responsible
Blue.
for. Yeah, totally.
Where they kill everything with what you play.
Yeah, you feel really bad. So yeah, that's very, very good advice on avoiding the bricks and making the most out of these redraw 4-drops. So obviously it's worked out well for you today. You've had an incredible run through this tournament. So maybe let's get a bit into the matchups. It looks like you had a pretty steel heavy run.
Yeah.
Any matchups that stood out to you first of all as difficult?
I think Red Blue is in the finals. I really had the nut draw against Red Blue. I felt really bad for them because I had all my Murfolks and Banzais in my opening hand, and I just slammed him. And I was on 16 on turn 5 or something. But if the opponent knows exactly what to do and what to mulligan for and for what play lines you have to go, I think Red Blue is, especially on the draw, very hard. If they have the nut draw, you could say. I mean, if they have, all this, Popsicle into Tipo, into Hiram, into I don't know, Maui, and then or another ramp, and then be prepping the first time when you are on 6 lore or something, then
yeah, the thing I worry about on the 5 ink turn is a sail plus a brawl.
For example, that's
something
what
like
always
that. And then they play with the 1 ink that they play off sail, that comes in unexerted. Notably, they play another Popsicle to crack with the Hiram. It's like a living nightmare.
And to be fair, my opponents, especially the first game, they all mindlessly quested with their Hiram.
Yeah, sure.
And that's not what you should do, because then Go Tomago goes online. And I think if Red Blue really techs for this matchup and really knows what they should do, I could see this being even maybe a bit unfavored. It's hard to say, because if you're on the play and you have Merfolk and Banzai, you most of the time win. But Merfolk and Banzai, the odds are, I think, not too high. I mean, it's just a Diablo shift, and they always have it, so we can also have Merfolk Banzai openings. But on the draw, it's really, really challenging. It's just challenging to get enough lore that we get to a threatening position, like 14 lore or something, because then it's threatening for them. If we are on 6 lore, they just slam a Tamatoa. We have 0. I don't think that's wrong, but we have 0 answers to Tamatoa. They know they can calculate in their head and say, okay, if I slam now the Tamatoa, he will stick, and I have one next turn if I want to. So they can just calculate, and that's something that good players will punish, because it's not that, hopefully there is no answer by us. We will play no answer. There is no answer in our deck, so they can freely do it. I still think it's probably right to play no answers, but just for them to have in mind, makes a lot of their plays easier to close out games, I think, if they play it correctly.
Nice.
Yeah. The other deck was what really nice was today was a Jafar. Honestly, it was a really cool deck. They played the new 3-drop Tinkerbell. The mini surfer, you could say. By the way, mini Tinkerbell into Genie is a crazy nuts opening against many decks. That's only by the way. And then they played against aggressive decks. They can shift the 6-cost Tinkerbell on the 3-drop. And they finally got a good 3-drop Tinkerbell to shift on. And then they played Genie as well, and Jafar, and the lamp. The lamp says, I didn't know this card is so busted. The lamp says it costs 2, just 2, and if you have a Jafar on board, you draw 2 cards, and if you have a Genie board as well, then you can bounce target with cost 4 or less on the board. That's some value for 2 costs. I mean, you have, but to have a Jafar board is not very hard to, and then it's for 2, draw 2 cards. It's not bad.
The
he
problem
really
with that card in the
I
was just going to say, the problem with that card in the past was that there weren't really any good genies. And that's not a problem now.
That's not a problem.
That's why that guy has gone into his binder and found his lamps. Is that this genie is good.
I don't know if it has legs, but I really like the idea, and it was a really cool deck, because Genie and Jafar is they are all good cards now. You don't have to play bad cards anymore in that deck to just have a synergy with your cards. And that's something I will, maybe for fun, but I will build such a deck too, just to try it.
Nice.
The other thing was, I played against, was a good observation for me. I played mirror match in the semifinal, and they played, I think, 2 or 3 Lyles.
Okay.
And in the past, I thought that's auto win if they play Lyle and I don't play Lyle. But somehow the Lyles didn't do enough. Somehow, I don't know. I don't know, and I thought the whole time, what did change? Because I thought Lyle is so busted, but it felt really weak, and I can't explain why. And I still don't have an answer for myself why. Maybe because we play 4 elders now or something. But I did most of the time and said 5-2. Or maybe, I don't know. Do you have?
No, that's really surprising to me, because I would think that if you were going to play Lyle in green purple at the moment, one of the main things you would want it for, or one of the places it would be best, would be the mirror, because our mirror's last set was so decided by who draws most Elsas, who draws most Lyles, and how efficient. Basically, my opponent's play a Lyle, I need to Elsa it and get it gone. And so there was this back and forth trade of Lyles and Elsas. If your opponent has them and you don't, I would have said, okay, you're going to have a tough time. But I'm not sure why it would be that much easier now. Maybe you were better at drawing your Elsas.
Because I know him really good, and he's very, very good player. He's a long-time Magic player, and I don't think it's a skill issue or something.
No.
It revolved often around value. I outvalued him most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it's because we play less rabbits and things, maybe. And then the Lyle does not. If you are on a value fight, then Lyle does nothing,
Yeah, sure.
it's just, yeah, it's nothing for outvalues. Because if you have an uninkable, then you play rather a rabbit and then a Lyle, of course. If you are
Mm.
for value fighting. I don't know. I didn't. I mean, it did something. It did not nothing. And one game was very, very close. But yeah, he had 2 lights in this game, and I still won. I don't know. Yeah, it was just a good observation for me. I don't like Lyle right now, and
No.
I can't really explain why, but for our deck, I think he really slows us down. He really slows us down
Yeah.
against many matchups. Even Peter
Yeah.
Pan slows me down sometimes, but I think his good situations are too good for me to cut him completely. I don't know.
Mm.
It's
I think 1 is good, isn't it? 1 seems like the right number of that card right
yeah,
now.
I think you can't go too wrong if you play one Peter Pan. I mean, it's still
Yeah.
the matchup we are all afraid of, that we want him, and then he really shines, and he shines against Steel Song for me often, and because he trades a Cindy or something. But of course, sometimes against Blue Steel, it hurts that you have to ink a White Rose and play him because he's uninkable. And yeah, I know, but it's rare. It's rare, and
Mm.
you don't keep him in these matchups. And if you mulligan after mulligan draw him, then sometimes you just take it. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel the same way. It's I was very, very high on Kit in the past. Not Kit, sorry. Lyle. I was very, very high on
Yeah,
Lyle at the start of last set. Um, I felt and yet I felt really happy when I cut it last set and moved away to a more aggressive build. I just think, yeah, you're completely right. It slows us down a little bit too much. The spots where you expect it to be good seems to underperform. I'm not finding room. You're not finding room for a 3-drop, let alone an uninkable 3-drop at the moment, are you? When you look at a list as tight as this, yeah, where are we going with that? Your uninkables are even more constrained because Genie is so good. I don't know.
yeah.
What are you not playing for Lyle? Yeah, it's a
It's
tough one.
it's a meta call, but if you see the meta right now, I think we are the aggressor in nearly any
Yeah,
matchup, and then he just is bad, of course, for that purpose. That's clear.
yeah, totally. Um, Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, the other thing I wanted to point out about your run through the tournament today is someone really needs to teach you how to win dice rolls. Doesn't
Yeah.
look
I lost my dice rolls the first 4 rounds, and I don't know how I won that. It's crazy. Yeah. I had blue
but
steel
you didn't.
first round, then I had red purple, then I had steel song. The steel song I drew really good, I would say, because I always had
Okay.
my Ursula's multiples.
Yep.
That was really good. Then I had another steel song, but the other steel song was very aggressive, and they played Daisy and such things. And Daisy is the worst card in the world against us. If you're a steel song player, don't play the Mulligan your Daisy. It's so bad. You just give me all the answers I need. And the quest doesn't matter that much. We have so many answers to her. We have 4 crabs, 4 fox.
Mm-hmm.
It's if they open Cindy, I think, oh my gosh. And if they open Daisy, I think, okay. I play followers.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah. So what did we talk about? Yeah, the Steel Song. Yeah, the Steel Song matchups were and I was on a draw and I won it somehow against them. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think
Nice.
that doesn't matter too much against Steel Song often. If we have our Ursula on point and they don't top deck a whole new world, then
Yeah.
it's often they run out of cards very fast. Then sometimes just don't give them Rapunzel lines, and then it's can be
Yeah.
over very fast. Yeah.
Same as the matchup's always been, right? Which is you have
Yeah.
to earn the whole new worlds
Yeah.
because that's how they completely bury you. Like you say, when you take away whole new world as their primary form of card draw, you then can't make trades that leave your 2 or 3 strength characters. Just if they have a ready Lawrence, you can't
Yeah.
then hit their Daisy with Crab or something and just leave that 3. Not doable. You can't do that, or you'll lose. As long as you get good at playing around the Rapunzel and they don't get lucky with the whole new world, that's how the matchups felt for a long time, right? And it's not really changing much now.
I saw some questions about or people wrote me some questions about the one of Ursula, the big
Oh
one.
yeah.
You can argue about it. I think it's really cool, mind games wise, because if you incur early or something, then they think, oh, they are on big Ursula. I have to remove the small Ursula. Because if you play one, you often play more than one, so
Yeah.
they are aware of it. And I even shifted her once today, so yeah, you could. I don't want to play so many high cost cards because we don't ink that high often. Yeah, I think you can play it, you can play it not. It's not that important.
Yeah.
One-off is not always game changing, but yeah, just more versatility. I think in the deck list that needs to be respected. I would say.
Nice. Well, you've certainly made a very, very good case for green purple in this new format, looking like a front runner. I think a lot of other people that have been testing the deck heavily are pretty excited about the state of the deck now, and certainly I would agree that it's a front runner in this format. Rather than putting a tier list together, maybe
Mm-hmm.
we can just have a quick chat about what do we see as those other leading decks right now? Like what across your testing, across what you've seen at the tournament
Mm-hmm.
today, and other people have been saying, what's standing out as the kind of leaders of the pack?
Mm. I'm curious if we say the same. For me, it's
Okay, yeah,
probably if I see it objectively, then
yeah,
I have to try to say it not biased, because if we are biased, we are all biased. But I think green purple is kind of fair. It's not broken or something. It's like red purple. The problem is it's a good deck. I think it's a tier 1 deck, but I have no matchup, and that's like red purple in the past, where I think, oh, GG, easy win. That's
yeah,
not. You can lose and you can win against everyone, and that's the deck. So I think it's a fair deck. It's a fair tier 1 deck. Has no
yeah.
polarizing
Nice.
matchups. Yeah, but other than that, I think red blue is still very powerful. I think red blue still has to be discovered a bit, how they should build it. Probably not very clever for myself, but my girlfriend is playing red blue since set 1, and she finds lines that very hard for green purple to beat. Turn 4 Maui, Shark Maui, for example, is an absolute
Yeah.
nightmare for us. And if they know they just need to do it, you just I thought about it so many times. You just can't quest into a shark maul. It's just not possible. It's first possible if you have 5 or 6 characters on the board, because then they trade brawl or something, and that's you can't do it. You just can't do it. It's crazy. And then you are on maybe 3 lore or 4 or something, and they slam a Maui.
Yeah.
What can we do from that? And still, red blue has still some good matchup. Has against green steel probably one of the best matchups, and blue steel probably still slightly favored, I would say. I don't know exactly, but I could imagine. You can get red blue with some really hyper aggressive stuff, but other than that, I don't see red blue going anywhere. I know people are low in it, but I don't understand exactly why. Can't see any crazy weakness, or what would you say?
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. I would still put it right up there. Based on what I've seen so far, it's looked like it's still doing the great things that it's been doing for a long time. But I think maybe a lot of red blue players. So if you think about the fact that lots of people of the new cards from set 6, one of the things that people are most excited about is Go-Go, and she's generating a lot of noise. There are a lot of Go-Go decks out there at the moment. Well, the two best cards in the game for surprise Go-Going for massive are Hiram and Tamatoa. They are the high
yeah,
strength,
yeah,
high willpower, easy to trade into things that you get to this late point in the game where they have to draw cards, they have to close games. They can't just not quest with their Hiram sometimes, or they can't just not close the game out with their Tamatoa. Like your game where you randomly gained 8 off of goating. It's maybe you could say in hindsight like that's a bad play, but then they do have to try, and
maybe
people are going to
maybe
do that, and they get put under that pressure.
maybe I'm too low on the matchup from my side, because I always think, oh, but I still manage to win very often. But I always think,
Yeah,
oh, it's so close right now. But maybe you still win often, although it's close, and it doesn't feel like a good win if you play this last Go Tomago for reach or something. Then you think it was very, very close. But maybe you still win often because of such lines. I don't know. We need more data, I think.
yeah. It's
Because
really interesting.
really often I think, oh, that was too close. I shouldn't have won that, and that's something that shows me maybe I have some weakness against the deck. But maybe we just have so many lines now that we just find them.
Mm.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, just trying to think about the way that we feel about those games ending like that versus the way they feel.
Mm-hmm,
Obviously, you were saying about biases, and it's really easy to get biased. I feel the exact same way. You get over the line against red blue, and you think, "Phew, I really dodged a bullet there. Like I had to use absolutely everything at my
yeah, yeah,
disposal,
yeah.
and I just about got there." But if you have those, like the situation you described, your opponent has pretty much reached the end game, but you've got to 12 lore. It's not even that high. Like getting to 12 lore by that point when they're playing Tamatoa is not that hard. And then you beat them with Go-Go. They'll, from their point of view, you think, "Wow, I got my Go-Go done. Like I needed exactly this to do it. How lucky, how close." But they're probably thinking, "Well, by this point in the game, they have the Go-Go. That's the extra reach they need."
Mm,
Because in lots of those games that we lose, we did reach 15. We did reach
mm-hmm,
14, 15, 16. So in their mind, I can understand why a red blue player would be less excited about the deck in this format,
mm-hmm.
because now there is this card running around that has the potential to close that gap. And the question is, did their deck gain enough to so that like the marker moves a
Yeah,
little
yeah,
bit
I
and it's
know.
harder. And it's hard. So because one of the best cards, Maui Shark, is great for them. It looks really good and is fantastic at freezing the board. They have to prioritize that in matchups against like green purple. I completely agree now, because we have no real way to deal with it. We win by questing really aggressively on that turn 4, turn 5. Like we build a board, we go all out into the board sweeper to get ahead, and then we start just playing bouncy type stuff and do, the reach that we have to get over the line. If they freeze the board on turn 4 with a Maui, that's a big problem for us.
Yeah.
We can't really do anything about that. It's over then. That's the gap, right? That's how you change that margin from, oh, we were at 14, 15, 16 to, oh, well, actually, I was stuck at 8 lore because a Maui came down and I couldn't quest anymore or I'd lose. And then because he was there, I lost anyway. So maybe there's some adjusting to do. But I get why red blue players feel a
Mm,
little bit worse about the
yeah,
list
yeah,
right now. But what I've seen still makes the deck look really good, and it was so good before. Like in the
yeah,
previous format, you have to
yeah.
put red, blue, and green steel. I
Tier,
understand why you're like hesitant to
yeah,
call green purple a tier 1 deck, because if you think about that previous tier 1 of basically just green steel and red blue, both of those decks were doing wildly powerful
yeah.
linear things. very different things, but they were so powerful. They really were cut above the other decks. And green purple isn't doing much like that. It's playing a fair game, but I do think green purple's at that power level that, regardless of the fact it's fair,
Yeah,
the good
yeah,
analogy that you make is thinking about the way red purple was in the
yeah.
past. Like, what was that doing? Nothing really. It was just playing really fair game, 2-for-1ing people, and it was a tier 1 deck for ages. And now this is the same, but I'd still have to put blue red there for now. If it turns out that the players can't adapt that well to this slightly faster, higher reach world, maybe we see blue red fall off a bit. But for now, it still feels like it's up there.
Yeah, what do we say about green steel? Still tier 1, I think. Shouldn't go
I've made
anywhere, I think. Or what do you say?
Yeah, I've made the mistake of thinking that it's gonna fall off before. And actually, what seems to happen is all of the players that play green steel go really, really, really quiet at the start of the set, or they all start suspiciously talking about like, "Oh, have you seen how cool Genie is? Have you seen how cool green purple is?" And then you're like, "What? I thought you just slammed Diablos and Prince John'd everyone." They're like, "No, no, look. If you've seen Genie is awesome. I'm playing nothing but Genie." And then, the first tournament comes around. They shuffle up. Turn 1, Diablo. Turn 2, Shift Hidden Cove. Like, oh yes, sorry, bro. Just went back to what I've always played and just smash you with Diablos again. So you go through this phase, you get into this cycle where you think, oh, maybe it's gonna fall off. No one's making any noise about it. No one seems to think this is a big deal, but it's not going anywhere, is it? Like,
the thing
it
is,
didn't get a whole lot of new stuff. But what does it need? Put some Go-Go's in there, and that deck's fine.
The problem is, if you see the maths, if you influence the maths, I think it should be a lot worse, because the maths for Diablo Shift are below 50%, I think.
Yes.
And it feels, even for us, I don't want to say unlosable, but it feels, especially on the play, nearly unlosable if they miss turn 1. It's they can't recover from that most of the time, and that's stupid. They play 4 1-drops. They can so easily miss it. But maybe I should just be more confident. But we are all afraid of these openings, and we can't beat. And yeah, we are reasonably afraid of that, I think. But even I'm always, hopefully I have a 1-drop in my hand. I play 13, and they play 4 and need the shift too. So and a song or an action, and yeah. So I think it's probably for me in my head it's like tier 0.5 or something, but I think it's a bit worse because they also can draw 3 Prince Johns or an opening hand or
Yeah,
something.
sure.
There's some things some games we don't consider sometimes, I think.
Yeah.
Because we only see the high roll, and then we get so it's of course tier 1, but my mind tells me it's even higher, but it isn't, probably. If you see the statistics, or what would you say?
Yeah, I completely agree. Just on what you were saying about the high roll, if you're a Twitter user, you will have seen recently a good deal of argument about Diablo, which I've really enjoyed watching because I'm firmly in the Diablo haters camp. But at some point, I had this revelation after looking at multiple people talking about this for ages and people getting various degrees of angry. If you play Green Steel, you don't think Diablo is too good. It's like your
Yeah,
bias only shows you all of the games where you missed.
yeah,
And if you don't play it, your bias only shows you the games where they hit.
yeah,
Like all we think about is when the Diablo happens and we
yeah.
struggle to catch back up. All they think about is how often they don't have it. And it's like you're never going
And
to
how
agree on
often they
anything.
top
Like,
deck a 1-drop Diablo or something, and
yeah,
yeah.
sure. Yeah. Where I needed to just draw like anything useful and I drew a
Yeah,
cove or something late and it was
yeah.
that's the situation they see. So I don't think we're going to make any progress on the Diablo conversation because while we're all stuck with our biases.
Yeah,
But
it's
as long as 2-game format remains a thing, green steel will remain firmly at the top, and it'll be highly represented because I don't know. The thing I've never got past with it is that you have the very best thing. You have the access to the best opening in the game. There is no better opening than Diablo, shift Diablo, put it in a cove. Or even, against some matchups where they don't have removal for the Diablo, you could play something like a Morph on turn 2. These are the best openings. And that, like, when you're going first, that opening is so good that it's really hard for your opponent to get back into the game, even if they have what would be the very narrow number of playable answers that there are. And then when you're going second, you have this also very powerful discard plan, which doesn't require you to have a specific opening, and does turn the fact that the player on the play has one less card in hand. A player on the play has one less card in hand, turns it to your advantage.
Yeah.
So when you're going second, you can randomly get them, running them out of cards. They overextend, discard them out. When you go first, slam your Diablo at the right time, and it's just absurdly good for 2-game format. I think it's like a wildly swingy deck that you just randomly have a chance to pick up those wins sometimes when they can't answer them.
I also think it's a good deck for if you like in the Continentals or something, because it's a very good deck for people that are equally skilled, I think, because you need the high rolls to win probably, or you will just split with everyone probably. I mean, they are 2-game format. The Swiss ones, I expect them to everyone the first place will probably someone with 1 win and 5 ties or something. I could imagine, because they should be all kind of equally skilled. And I mean, some of the first rounds in DLC were pretty easy, I would say, and that's not a fact there. So there you probably need some kind of high roll things to stand out from the mass. Although it's a bit risky probably, but just have to stand the chance to stand out a bit.
Yeah, totally. So I think green steel is something we can expect. It would be silly to say it's anything other than, in that pack of front runners at the moment. And then for me, the other standout in terms of performance is Amber Steel. Just a regular steel song. There are various new cards that you could put in it, and I've seen different configurations, different players running different things. But on the whole, some build of this looks really, really good. Whether it's playing the new Lilo as like a never-ending threat to outgrind people, just this plan of you play you have access to the Cindy Storm opening on turn 1. That's really as great as it's ever been. Yeah. And then you get to play just a 2-law threat on 2, a 2-law threat on 3. On 4, you can Rapunzel something to draw cards, or you can play a Pluto or something, or you just play your Ariel on turn 3 and just keep on playing powerful songs. And I don't know, the deck just isn't getting any worse, is it? And when you see a good player with it, it looks near unbeatable.
Yeah. I also think it could be maybe this time maybe fast enough to go just under red blue. Because that was their biggest weakness, the red blue matchup. Yeah, for me also, I had the same experience. Like found it really strong. Especially the new Pluto is pretty busted. In my testings, and the Lilo is still hard to evaluate. I think against red blue it makes a lot of work. I could imagine puts in a lot of work. If they be prep and you just slam 2 Lilos, what do they do? I mean, if they have another CISO or something, then it's but then you play them again, and then they have to trade with their CISO and don't quest with it, and so that's never ending. Against red blue, I could see the Lilos making a ton of work. And still against red blue, that some people I think don't see that. If you play, there are not too much 2-law characters. There is me, and if you play against red blue and you play a Lilo on turn 2, That's totally reasonable. She quests for 2
Yep.
and can't be traded by Tipo. That's um, something that's better than the most 2 drops out there, except Piglet or so. So
Yeah.
it's not a bad turn 2 against them. It's better than Ursula, for example, than the 2 drop Ursula.
Yeah.
Or it's I think it's against some matchups. She I could imagine it's a lot of ink in other matchups, but against these matchups could be really good. And I also think that Steel Song is a very scary deck because it's super fast now.
Yeah. Scary fast.
Scary fast, and it's hard to beat them by board control if they have their songs and they have Fluto, and it's big bodies and songs is hard to for decks that are revolving around board presence. And against other decks, they have Pete as well to stop the B prep for 1 turn, and that's most of the time enough. And yeah, I also think that's a very scary deck. I also think it's very good at the green steel. I don't know why. I mean, you played green steel more than me. Why people say, "Oh, that's a good question." Why do you agree with that? People say green steel is favored into amber steel, and I don't get it really. Do you agree with
I'm
that?
not sure why. I can't really imagine why. Certainly when I played it, it didn't seem like that was a great matchup because you're still like nothing is better than Amber Steel at controlling the board early. Like nothing does as much in those first few turns.
They say we have Ursula to rip the songs, and then but this that has green purple too, and I don't know.
I can see a world where, you open with your Diablo and then shift it, and your shifted Diablo can sing Storm on to take out their Cindy or something, and then you also follow that up with an Ursula on the same turn. I can imagine that's probably among the worst things for Amber Steel to see in terms of openings.
But I can also see
the frequency that happens. Yeah.
But I can also see a turn 1 Cindy that just storms away their Diablo.
Yeah, exactly.
And you think what I have a trash card in my deck that I needed to discard a spell for and just to get stormed. So I think they can at least tech that it can be a favorable matchup for Amber Steel. Maybe they play grab a sword again or something.
Nice. And if the format goes in the direction that that we're kind of taking it in, our build of green purple is more aggressive. If other people on some of these other purple decks start to tune more aggressively, purple steel, even red purple, we've seen that kind of some people coming out with these burn style builds. If the format starts to skew more aggressively, it just makes Amber Steel better. Like Amber Steel is always best. It's so good at controlling the board through those early turns and building that kind of advantage. It's like the anti-aggro deck, right?
Yeah.
And its only main hole was that its red-blue matchup is tough. If somebody works out how those tools can be brought together to beat red-blue, I don't know, it's crazy.
Maybe
it just
even
has so much potential.
Maybe even Guntu is a consideration for that or something.
Yeah.
They will find something out. There are the players that that will brew a lot with that.
Yeah, and it's also a really high skill deck. The skill cap is really high, so when it comes to Continentals and stuff, there will be a strong representation of Amber Steel. You could say confidently, even at this point, there will be a lot of that there, and that's where we'll really see it shine, I'm sure, because, like you say, a few people will think, okay, we need some high roll potential to cut through this high skill field. Let's get the Diablos going. Other people will think, just give me my Cindy's, my Storms, my Rapunzels, and I'll get the job done.
So we have red, blue, green steel, green, purple, amber steel. Blue steel is also probably tier 1, I think. It's very good against aggressive decks. It's good against green steel. So I think that's enough for me to be a reasonable deck. Or what would you say? You're not high on it?
Well, I really don't know. I've not seen enough of it this set. I've tested a little bit against some, and it's the same sort of story as it's always been. Like you say, again, when the format looks more aggressive, blue steel and amber steel both start to look really good, and then after that we go back to be prepared decks.
Blue steel is kind of good against Akko, but not perfect. I mean, Genie is a real problem for them. That's crazy how good Genie is against it. It's so crazy. Even Tinkerbell and Grapple Sword don't kill Genie. This is absurd. I would even keep 2 Genies against them because I just have to get to Genie and then I win.
My argument to you saying that would be if a deck has problems with Genie right now, how can we call that tier 1? You can't have a problem with Genie right now, and that's an issue.
I'm with you. So I would play probably tier 1.5 or something.
Yeah, it's close for me, and the one that's close there is Purple Steel. And this has been a good weekend for Purple Steel. Couple of mid to large tournaments over in the US, both won by Purple Steel, sort of Calhouni challenge type decks. They look pretty good.
I can see that,
but I think it's probably right there with Blue Steel. For me, it's those 4 that we discussed: Green Purple, Green Steel.
So, and I say
Blue,
a 5th one, and you will judge me for that. I know that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Go ahead.
And you say, "Are you crazy?"
Don't say it. Don't say it.
Why? I say red purple. Okay. Yeah. No. It's your argument that it's not good. Why is it not good?
I think that right now the purple core is fantastic, and it's just a matter of finding which color you want to augment it. Blurple is a little bit memey, but like we have so many good 4-drops now that just skipping 2 to 4 is valid, and the deck is definitely playable because the purple stuff's just that good. Purple Steel's great because the steel helps you win more aggressive matchups by controlling the board. Like what Ruby brought to the table, to me, it doesn't offer as much as some of these other. It's definitely not the worst color to pair purple with right now. It's like far from it. It's still pretty good. But I would rather, if I'm interested in doing those kinds of things, that if I want to just play a fair trading based game, but I kind of also gain some lore while I'm doing it, I don't really see why you would choose red purple over green purple right now. It just looks to do the.
That's not an approach for red purple for me. The trading.
Yeah.
Things. I think that red purple has out of all purple decks the best matchup against green steel because it has the most reliable answers for me, the best top decks by far, and you can compare Flinzizu with our Murfolk Banzai opening because that's nearly same busted, maybe even better in some matchups. It's close, but it has green steel, good match. I think I'm really confident whether I play with red purple against green steel. I feel kind of confident because I'm way more confident than with red purple, with green purple, for example, because I have so many tools to take over the game. I have even Brawl is so much better than Kit, so much. I have Maui when I want him, the Shark Maui. I have Medusa is absolutely busted against green steel. But also I feel way better with red purple against green steel. So the red blue, you can make arguments for it got closer, but I still think a good red purple player will beat red blue. And you can make arguments for blue steel. Yeah, I don't know exactly. Amber steel is probably the worst matchup for red purple. That's true. And that's that point I give to the people, to the red purple haters. But other than that, I don't see why red purple should not be a tier 1 deck. But to have a commitment with you, we can make it 1.5. But I still think lords, I say lords, people like Neumnot or something will figure out a very successful red purple list. I'm really confident saying that.
And
We
I think you're
always thought
probably
that.
completely
We always
correct.
said that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we always said
Yeah.
we counted that. I know Ursula 2-drop was released, and I thought we all said, "Oh God, Red Purple is dead." Be prepared will always get caught by Ursula 2, and then it's over. They don't have board wipes anymore. They have board wipes still, and they can even tech if they play 8-cost Sisu. Then they
Yep.
can shift on their hand size Sisu. Then their green steel matchups goes even better because they really can't remove the 3-drop Sisu.
Yep.
And yeah, Brawl it's not very shiny, or how you can say that, but it's a very reliable answer against a various amount of cards for green steel. And it's not like us that we're bouncing them, so it's killing them. And yeah, I don't see if I see the matchup spread, the meta share, I don't see Red Purple going anywhere. That's just
Yeah.
my feeling. And
Yeah, it's a very convincing argument. The thing I was going to say is the thing. So right now, I don't feel like it's very good. I feel, but that's all bias talking. As I
yeah,
feel very confident in my matchup against it. I feel like, oh, I'm kind of doing similar. I guess I'm not doing similar things, but it feels like you're trying to do similar things a little bit. And why wouldn't you want to play this? But the thing that's got me doubting it, in addition to what you've said, is that we have thought it was going to die before, and this window of the first few weeks of a new format is just the red purple is dead window. Is oh, this deck's not playable anymore, and then it turns out it was playable the whole time, and for whatever reason it looks bad, and then it just is good. So yeah, even if I didn't put it in that sort of front runner batch of decks right away, I'd only have to change it in a couple of weeks' time. So maybe you can have your way and it can go in now.
and yeah, like I mentioned, Flynn Zizo Genie line is one of the I'm confident saying that Flynn Zizo Genie is one of the busted openings in this game right now. This is so you attack from your opponent from so many angles, and find the answer against Flynn Zizo. That's for many decks not easy. And then you have to find the Genie, Zizo plus Genie quest for 4. It's a busted aggressive opening, you could say. And I people say green purple is it's easy for green purple, red purple. I tell you, if I play the EU versus an A tournament and I get paired into No I'm Not, it's a sweaty matchup. I tell you, it's I don't beat him 2-0 easily. That's really not the case. Because they have powerful things. He knows what he needs to do against me. He is a very good player, and I think red purple. If I play against red purple, I see many misplays, especially against us. Like I said, if they quest with the hand size ISO, that changes the whole game. It's just losing at this point often. Because they think, too low, and then they just need to know, I have to stall. If he's on 6 lore on turn 7, then he will lose. If he plays no clarable, and that's that's I think many people have to find out of the red purple players, and I think the red purple is always a deck that has a high skill intensity, that you can improve a lot with skill the deck, and I think it will go nowhere, but it's just my hot take. I know I'm not very with the community, but then I'm the person who said it.
I don't know. The way you put it, it does make me start to believe a bit. I think it's not really a deck you can count out, is it? It has got those strong. Yeah, it's good.
I
for the
mean,
reasons it's always
where
been good.
against what it's an auto lose? Nothing. Amber Steel is for me the worst matchup. So, and then it has no auto win matchup. That's fair. Yeah, it's still this kind of weird position that it has no good and no bad matchups. But I don't see anyone. If I'm on the tournament and one of my friends or you or someone say, oh, against what do you play? Oh, red purple. Then I don't think, oh, easy. Easy. I don't think that because, yeah, you can always lose to red purple, I think. Yeah, but
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
um,
it is always possible. Okay, you've
yeah.
convinced me. Yeah, it's probably not going to go anywhere anytime soon. Maybe we revisit this in a few weeks' time, and
Yeah.
everyone include. This is when, at this point, you have a like a long Twitter post from No, I'm Not saying it's over. Officially, we're shutting up shop. The red purple era, it's dead, and then you have to eat your words. But yeah, no, I think for the time being, people will play it, and it will still perform.
Yeah. And to come to a conclusion, for me, it's green, steel, and red, blue, kind of still
Okay,
top
still,
tier.
still, still slightly above the others.
Just for my feeling, maybe not for
Yeah, okay.
my. Or do you would you count green, purple to that?
My feeling, what I feel deep in my gut, is that green purple is busted, and it's pure good vibes,
Yeah,
good
that's
matchups. There's it's always had you've always had at least one matchup that you really hoped not to see, and
and
the thing that's the thing that's slightly like in the back of my head is that right now I'm feeling really positive about green purple because for whatever reason I'm testing against very little green steel. Um, because like I say, it disappears for no reason at all, other than the pilots try different decks. I'll probably just go back to getting crushed by green steel and then feel very differently about green purple again. But right now, yeah, I would put it up there. I think that
if
we've
green
got some really good pickups.
if green steel wouldn't exist, I would completely agree with you.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
if we say that topic, by time recording, the matchup isn't played, but I will play in the EU versus NA tournament. Cross-Continental is my first round against. I got the hardest thing. I got Senseed, and he's probably on green steel. I don't know, but if he's on green steel, then gonna be a hard one. I can still
Yeah,
win. I can
you
still
can
win.
still win.
I can win. I'm
You
saying
can
that
win.
confidently. I can win.
Yeah, you can.
But dice roll will also be very important, I think. And I just give my best and try to make Europe proud. But it's not the matchup I want. If he's on green still,
Yeah.
then yeah, I just do my best and try.
Yeah, I mean, you'd have to.
Yeah.
I don't know. Zan's played a few different decks, hasn't he? He's
Yeah.
obviously known. He's known for green steel, so you'd have to, if you were hedging your bets, you'd probably expect that. But then, he's. I remember him playing some amber steel, that sort of thing. Maybe he thinks it's good enough this time. Neither of them particularly good matchups for the
Yeah.
purple decks that you like. So whatever you land on is probably not
Yeah.
great, but you can
Yeah.
win.
Yeah.
So good luck.
Yeah, it will be really cool. The good thing about that is the pressure is not that high because we all know, all of us 16 players know we can lose against any one of them. It's not a
Yeah, yeah,
shame. It will not be a shame for me to lose against Sen.
yeah.
Neither for him probably. So it's not no real pressure for us.
Yeah, nice. It's
Yeah.
just fun, isn't it? You get to see. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to watching some of that. So that's coming up starting this week, right? People are going to be able to watch games
Yeah.
live streamed.
I think it will be announced on Twitter and things.
Yep.
Just be open for that.
Yep. Nice. And then
Yeah.
maybe wrapping up, we're both going to different large tournaments next weekend, and both playing some Set 5 again.
Yes. I'm in Bologna. Thanks to the Law League Italia. They invited me. Will be very exciting. With many other players. Moyen and Harlan and other people. Would be Locana Villain is there. Would be really cool. One last round of Set 5.
Yeah, nice.
And you?
Yeah, I'm going to be in Birmingham, UK for the Axion Now 10th anniversary celebration. So 2 big tournaments. I've got Set 6 on the Sunday, and yeah, big Set 5 tournament on the Saturday. 4K travel award to Disneyland for the winner. So yeah, if you're in the UK and near Birmingham, do come down and play, and that should be a great event. But I'm kind of looking forward to playing some Set 5 again. I've had I'm scared that I'm going to just suck at it because I've had my head in Set 6,
Yeah,
but it
I don't
wasn't
want to
so bad,
play.
was it?
I don't want to play around some cards that don't exist, like Go
Yeah,
Tomago.
sure.
um, yeah, will be really cool. And do you know what? Don't say it, please. But do you know
Hmm?
what you're playing? What deck you play?
I think I do. Yeah, so it's a bit tricky because I'm trying to think of Set 5 and Set 6 because I've got 2 different tournaments on 2 different days. I know what I'll play for Set 5. I'll play something close to my Set Champs Green Purple that was good at the end of the set. Um, Probably completely unsurprising to people. It'll be very
Yeah.
close to that, I expect. However, I do have green steel sleeved up in case I just want to roll those dice
Yeah.
and get those Diablos going. So yeah, you never know. If you play against me, definitely don't mulligan for green purple. You might get Diabloed.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm playing set 5. Maybe I play red purple or green purple. Or I have also a Diablo deck, but I'm a man of honor. I don't
For now,
for
yeah, we'll
now.
see.
uh, yeah. All right, I think
Nice.
we are finished. Yeah. By on the next episode, I think we will talk about my first match of the
Yeah.
Cross-Continentals and about our tournament experiences.
Hmm.
And yeah, enough other topics, new meta game stuff. Yeah,
Cool.
I think we're done.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
till next week, have a good one, and till next time, and bye bye.
Bye bye.